And I think Mike's spot is close enough. That means it's in the corner. Which is it?
20-inch play. It's on the Impala. We had to change 20 up. It was too long. Go, Ash. Yeah! That's 2 outs, Ashley! Shut up! Ashley just got it 1 hop! Shut up! Shut up! Woo!
Way to go, Ashley!
John.
Double play!
Nice.
Double play!
It bounced and went boom.
Boom, Brander!
Woo!
Double play!
Hey, 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 Beep Baseball world. We are back with another episode of the Beepball Blues Show. Despite saying we would give you the weekend off from us, there's just too much Beep Baseball going on, Seth Dog. I'm sorry. I know you had the family already out at the Hamptons in your summer home and I had to call you back.
Yes, NealDawg. You are let's say, inconsistent. You are consistently inconsistent, NealDawg. Jeez. But love you, NealDawg.
I appreciate that. Somebody's got to. Somebody's got to.
Like
I got it recorded too. I've never had it recorded with somebody saying they love me.
Oh, dude.
I've never had proof before.
We's family, NealDawg. We's family. We's family, you know.
I would like to say real quick before we jump in, introduce our guest and talk about why we had to bring out this special edition. I in addition to now being on Apple Podcasts, our show Seth Dog is just spreading everywhere. Not only can you find it up on YouTube where it originally started once we got off of Facebook Live, even though we're back on Facebook Live now, you get on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and I was finally able to figure out Amazon. So you get it on Amazon Music, you could get it through your Audible. I don't feel that confident, Seth Dog, that it'll work on smart speakers, even though Google and Amazon are directly related to them, because Beep Baseball is not a real, or Beepball is not a real word. So I don't have the confidence to say, hey, Amazon or hey, Google or whatever people have, it's play the Beepball Blue Show podcast. I don't know if it'll pop up, but we're supposed to be on there. So we're spreading everywhere like fire, Seth Dog.
Why does it have to be a real word? Educate me.
Well, I don't know that it has to be, but I have found sometimes when I'm asked, I only have Alexa, and when I didn't mean to say the name because now I have her attention. I don't know why we say her when it's a robot, but I only have that Amazon, and sometimes when I'm asking for like kind of specific stuff, and it just doesn't pull up exactly what I want all the time. So being again that Beepball, well, I'll try it. Alexa, volume level 6. Alexa, play the Beepball Blue Show podcast from Amazon Music. The Beetle Blues Show. So, you know, I don't know how it's, but if you get on your app and search, you will absolutely find it any place. I do want to say too, like Frank and I are doing separate edits for, like, Frank Porter still edits the YouTube channel and I'm editing the podcast, and we don't talk about what we're doing. We each just do our own thing. In addition to that, since I've found out recently that Frank through a website can get stuff that is free to use without worrying about copyright on YouTube. I've given him total freedom to just, he doesn't have to use the music I've provided for him. He could go find whatever he wants and do it how he wants. And the first episode where he had that freedom was with the Jets last week, and I loved what he did. I mean, people should go to the YouTube channel and check it out themselves, but he took what I tried to do at the beginning with them singing and stuff, and he made it happen, and it sounded really good. So check out Frank Porter's work on YouTube because he does some good stuff over there for us. Yay!
Yeah.
Now you sound so excited.
I am, man. I am. I can't wait to know why NealDawg. Pray tell, why have you broken my Father's Day weekend apart with this episode? But what is so important, NealDawg? You told me that the hot show today, NealDawg. What's up?
Well, one, I mean, as I'm just looking at time in general, after this week, there's only 5 more Sundays before the World Series starts. And over 3 of those 5 weekends, there are going to be tournaments going on that we will be recapping. And something happened in the last week that I thought was really cool. And I was like, man, where do we squeeze it in? It's like, man, right now. Now is the best time to squeeze it in. So, and I think it's cool too for a few reasons. So, just like anybody who is catching the show that hasn't followed our sport as close as like all of us players and coaches and volunteers do, it beat baseball with going back to the home run rule first. Every run in beat baseball is either a run or an out. So there really was never any way to hit a home run, but we ended up
every at bat.
Every at bat is a run or an out. So because the beat baseball weighs a pound and really doesn't travel that far compared to a regular baseball or softball, we came up with a home run line at 180 feet. Which is now, I don't know what year we moved it in, but now it's at 170 feet. But along the way, originally the rule just meant if the ball went beyond the line, it can't be fielded, but it still only counted as 1 run like any other run. But later it became a 2-run shot. If you hit it over the line, you get a little extra for hitting the home run. So we never had a way to do that with the defensive side of things. Again, with every hit being a run or an out, there's no way to make a double play. But it's extremely rare to catch a beat baseball for one. I don't think it's been done at our World Series since 1996. And if you do catch a beat baseball during a game, when else would you catch it? If you do catch a beat baseball, it retires the side. It retires the inning. So whether there's 1, 2, or 3 outs to go in the inning, catching a ball in the air retires the side. But a lot of people make plays off of like one hoppers. And so a rule was passed in 2022 that when a player caught a ball on 1 bounce, it would be a double play. You got credit for 2 outs. And this year, now in 2023, is the first year that rule is in effect. And it happened this past weekend for the first time at a sanctioned beep baseball event at the Bolingbrook tournament. Ashley Melero from the Austin Blackhawks, who is our guest. Hello, Ashley. Come on in. Made the first double play in the history of the NBBA at a sanctioned event. Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I had my clap machine. Yay!
I wish I could blame it on, that's the kind of thing Frank's been doing on his side, is adding, like, you would like it because you've always liked the canned applause or whatever in TV shows with the fake studio audience.
Whoa! I was in
live tracks. That's what you would call it. No, I know. We like shows with live studio audience, but you prefer shows that don't have a live studio audience to still have a laugh track.
Yes,
do you not?
Yes, I do.
That's what I meant. So Frankie's been adding laugh tracks every here and there or whatever, part of his thing, and I got no idea why I brought that up. I got too distracted.
Well, I was clapping. I said, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of thing
then
Frankie will add in. Yeah, my bad. 10 minutes later. Hey, Ashley, sorry. Back to you.
Hi again.
welcome.
So
Ashley, who are you? Tell us who you are. I've never, I'm a casual beepball fan. And I never really heard your name until last week when people started talking about this double play. So
don't be offended by that. He couldn't name 20 people in the NBBA right now, and like 15 of them play for the Heat.
Yeah, you got it.
See, when he was clapping a second ago, I wasn't sure if it was real or not since it happened against the Heat. I thought it might have been a little sarcastic, but it's all good.
Hey, you know what, Ashley? That is news to me.
That it happened against the Heat.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just learned that it happened against the Heat.
Sure did.
That's great. That's great.
Real quick though, because we're gonna dive completely into Ashley and all the other stuff she's doing sports wise, but we were talking about the double play, and before we dive deeper, I thought it'd be cool if you just talked about making the play a little bit, since we were already
so people don't even know who she is. And you want to talk about the
everybody else knows who she is. You don't know who she is.
Hey, my parents listen to the show. They have no idea who.
Can we talk about the double play for 2 minutes before getting into that?
No. The double play is the climax of the show. It is the key to the show. So you need to introduce your guest, let them, go through all the stuff, and then we'll get to the double play. NealDawg, come on now.
Everybody, we're going to get to know everything about Ashley Melero now.
Thank you. Introductions, Neil. First, introductions. It's like writing a paper. Introduction first, then body paragraph.
So Ashley, I've been overruled. So go ahead and jump in. Yes. Tell us your history. Like, how you became blind, how you found your way to our world, all that stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I was born in El Paso. I have an older sister who's blind. She also plays beepball. Her name's Crystal. And then I have, 5 other siblings. So I have 7 siblings in total. But only 2 of us are blind. We both have RP. So I've always had a visual impairment. My RP was pretty progressive when I was born. My parents knew that I had RP, they didn't know I had RP. They knew I had some kind of vision problem. So I've always been a cane user, Braille user. I work a dog now, but, always use some kind of mobility aid and stuff like that. But I don't know, I've always been into sports. It's been a big part of my life for a long time. I've played several sports by this time. My sister started playing beepball way before me. I don't know. I say way before me. She's not that much older than me, but I think maybe, 4 years before me or something like that. She played with the Roadrunners.
Hold on, let me stop you. So when did you start playing? Time wise, just so we have some clarification on.
I started playing in October of 2019. So I played in the Tyler tournament, and then 2020 happened, so nothing happened. And then this will be technically my 3rd World Series this year in Oklahoma.
Okay, cool.
Was there a reason you didn't jump in earlier with your sister, or just other things going on?
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna mention. Was Crystal was playing for a while with the Roadrunners, and I had gone out and I had watched it, but I was going to school in Lubbock at the time, which is a really small college town in Texas, Wreckham. And we just, it was 6 hours from Crystal, to go practice with her. It was 6 hours from Austin, where I had some friends. And so it just wasn't super ideal. And I'm the kind of athlete that if I'm going to commit to playing a sport, I want to go to practice, and I want to go to practice, as often as possible. And I just didn't feel like that was going to be sufficient for me to be a good athlete. And so I held off for a while. And then I got a job in Austin after I graduated from tech. And I was like, all right, now's the time. And started playing with the Hawks very shortly after I moved to Austin.
Practice. We're talking about practice. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're not gonna get judgment for us, like from us. That 6 hours to practice and back. There's no way either Seth or I would show up. So, I mean, as much as I love beepball, I've never wanted. I don't love travel, so I don't want to go 6 hours for every practice. I'd do that for a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, and realistically, you only get to do that like once a month, right? And it's just not sufficient if you want to be a good athlete. And I'm super competitive, and I get really frustrated when I don't have the time to dedicate to it. So it wasn't the right time.
I'll just jump in real quick, Neil. I have flown 6 hours to go to practice, though. You know, so
not every week, though.
I'm dedicated, Neil Dawg.
But I also was a struggling college student. Come on, Seth.
I did it while I was struggling grad student, poverty stricken.
Once a year.
I know.
Maybe twice.
maybe once a year, and it got less and less the longer the years go. But go ahead, Ashley. Hold on. Did you play other sports beforehand?
I did. I've played quite a few. I started off when I was younger with track and field. I threw shot put. I ran short distances. I was a long jumper. Just a lot of different aspects in track and field. I played a little bit of goal ball. And then I actually played what we used to call beepball t-ball when I was really young. And then when I got to middle school and high school, I kept doing track, but my main sport then was wrestling. I loved wrestling. It was my life for a long time. And then now I play goal ball, beep ball, and recently just started running, but long distances. So
when you say
wrestling, were you a good wrestler?
I think so.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just ask you, like, when you say it was your life for a long time, like, talk about that. Like, what, you know, how much were you involved in competition and all that? How long?
So my older cousins, I have two older cousins. They used to wrestle and I used to watch them. I used to go to their high school matches, and I was like, I want to do that thing one day. And my parents were always the parents that said, like, you can do anything you set your mind to. And so I went to my mom and I said, I want to wrestle. And she was kicking herself because she always taught us we can't say the words I can't. And so she was like, holy crap, now I can't tell you can't do the thing, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so but we had only really seen boys wrestling. And but, you know, with my cousins, I learned to wrestle from them. We would just do it for fun for a few years, and then I got to high school and I was like, screw this, I want to wrestle. Like, I actually want to wrestle in high school. And we had a really small girls team. It wasn't very big. Girls wrestling was still pretty small back then, but I was ready. I was going to do it, and I loved it. I wrestled a lot with the guys in practice because we just didn't have enough girls. And it actually turned out to be super helpful for me as a wrestler, because when I started wrestling with the women, it was slower. And they were a lot lighter than a guy, you know? And so I learned a lot that way, and I wrestled all through my high school career before I had to have surgery on both of my shoulders, because I'm super stubborn and didn't want to get pinned because I wanted to go wrestle in state matches. So I let them dislocate my shoulder, and it was a bad time, but I loved it. I would do it again.
Were you a weight cutting wrestler? Like, did you? I wrestled in high school, but I wrestled heavyweight, so I never had to cut weight. But I used to watch those little guys cutting weight, man.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that. So when I first started wrestling, I wrestled 95. I was little, and I did that on purpose because at 102 we had a state champion. It was her senior year, and I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm going to beat her," you know. And so I dropped weight. I wrestled 95 for most of my wrestling career. And then by the time I graduated from high school, I was like, I'm so tired of cutting 7 pounds every week. And so I started wrestling 102. But yeah, I was definitely one that had to cut weight.
I
had to be dedicated.
I never
sucking ice cubes and eating cabbage. What?
Exactly. Yeah.
I never understood like any of that kind of dedicated. Like, I swam competitively all the way through high school, so you know, I had to worry about putting weight on more than losing weight. But I had two friends that were wrestlers I got to know like my sophomore year, and I was tripping out on them like when I first started hearing about them going like into steam rooms for
Yeah,
hours and
yeah,
Yeah,
saunas.
trying to
And you
all
don't
that
just
stuff.
go in a sauna, you go in a sauna wearing trash bags and
yeah,
layers of
so
clothes. I mean, I had like 3% body fat back then. I was really small. I loved it. I loved it though.
Yeah, I think I'm at
all
like 3% right now. You
right.
know, you know, just saying. 3% what? I don't know. Talk about talk about goal ball. You said you started that out earlier, and now it sounds like you're away from it and came back to it again. Am I
Yeah,
getting that
pretty
right?
much. It was the only time I really played goal ball was like sports extravaganza here in Texas. So just like little things here and there. So it was never anything serious. And then I got a call, I guess it was last year. My teammate Sarai, she called me and was like, "You're an athlete and we're short a girl. We need you to play." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what the hell I'm doing at all, but okay, you know." And so I literally showed up there, and Zach Arambula taught me what to do like 2 seconds literally before they started playing. And I was like, okay, I guess. And so that's kind of how I got started. But even then I was kind of like, I don't know about this. And then just here recently, probably the last 6-7 months, spent, really dedicated to it, spending a lot of time. Zach and Will have been, heading this program here in Texas, and they've been teaching quite a bit, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. So
That's
I play
sponsored.
center right now, usually.
Oh, wow, look at you.
That changes, but typically I play center. I didn't think I could play center, and one day Zach was like, "You're playing center," and I was like, "I'm doing what?" And then it's just been history since then. So
Way back in
I was
the
like, yeah, you said that.
way back in no, I didn't. I never was good enough. Way back in the early '90s, when Seth and I were first developing our friendship, he and another friend of ours, Tony Lewis, had a goal ball team going, but they weren't consistently getting a third person. And they came to me. It's like, "Man, you're a good defensive player in beep ball. You should be able to play center." Man, I just never adjusted well to center at goal ball. I wasn't I was a pretty good thrower, but I wasn't a great thrower. So throwing me at wing, I don't know.
yeah,
It's just...
I mean, I would say that there's a common theme. I feel like when I think about my athletic career, defense has always been something that I excel in more than offense. And it's just kind of been like that for us here at the goal ball thing. I picked up, things from Zach and Will pretty quickly, defensively, and offensively, I'll let the other people on my team throw the ball. I'm working on it, but that's not my strong suit for sure. But we were kind of, waiting for people to get serious about having a women's team here, and I think we're getting to that point now. So it's been really exciting. I also feel similarly in goal ball. We play a lot with the guys here, and that I think is also beneficial when we go play the girls later on too. So there's something to say about, speeding up the game and then having to slow it down a little bit.
I want to ask you too, because I know recently, maybe it's a few months back now, but you ran a 10K recently, and your pitcher Molly Fleming from the Blackhawks was your guide, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. By the way, Neil, thanks for getting it right this time. Last week you said it was a marathon. I was like, whoa.
I thought it was until Molly corrected me, but I thought it was a marathon.
Don't give me that much credit. I'm not that good.
In
fact,
never. If people give you more credit than you've earned, take it. Say thank you. Flex some muscle. Like, yeah, that's right. That's right. I did that.
It's been a joke at the Blackhawks because we'll say, we just ran a 10K, and everyone's like, "You just ran a 10K? Just a 10K?" Yes, just a 10K. But anyway, so yeah, that actually came to be because I got abandoned. Actually, I hope Jamie's listening to this so she knows how offended I am by that. Jamie, one of our players here on the Hawks, were very close to her family, and they moved to New Mexico here recently. And Molly and Jamie used to run together, and Jamie abandoned both me and Molly, and so we had to figure out what that looked like. And they used to get together and run all the time, and it just kind of was like, I'm trying to get in a better place for beepball, for sports in general. And so it was like, what the hell, let's run a 10K. And Molly was really the one who was the smarter one out of us all in that whole thing, because I was freaked out about it. I've always been a shorter distance runner, so I was like, you want me to run 6 miles? Are you crazy? But she kept me calm and gave us a plan, and we followed it. And actually, me, Molly, and my youngest sister, Maddie, we all ran the 10K together April 16th. So
that's very cool.
We're going to do another one for sure, but I'll be better at it this time.
That's an accomplishment. Honestly, running 100 feet to the base is, I consider, somewhat of a marathon. I have never enjoyed running, so just running to a base was far enough for me.
It really is different though, like running with friends and a guide like that, because I had never really, when I was wrestling, I hated running. I hated it so much. It was the worst part of wrestling. And that's what I had to do to lose weight, so it was horrible. But something about, getting to talk to Molly for 6 miles about whatever, everything and nothing, you get distracted, you lose track of time and mileage, and it's just fun. It's just fun. Molly's
I don't want to
awesome.
talk to Neil for 6 miles unless he's in the car.
Not only because he doesn't want to run, but you don't, going 6 miles in a car, you don't have to listen to me as long as you would have to be running with me.
I can get one. We can just get through one of Neil's monologues in 6 miles.
Look, Molly is quiet and she's a woman of few words, but when you get her going, it's a whole lot of fun. And I love Molly. She's awesome.
I'm big fans of Molly and Jono. I love the dedication they have to this sport. I'll mention them a little bit later. We'll talk about the Sirens and the Lookouts playing their game earlier today. So we'll talk more about them later. But I'm big fans of the Flemings. They're good beepball people.
Definitely.
So Neil, this is a good time. You can transition to the double play now, man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Actually, Seth, before I did, I was thinking, outside of sports, Ashley, Seth's parents might like to know more about Ashley the person.
Yeah, hey, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Is there anything in your life outside of sports you'd like to share with us?
I mean,
unique. That's a lot of pressure, huh?
That is a lot of pressure.
What did you major in college?
I got my bachelor's and my master's in social work at Texas Tech. So I spend a lot of time. I hold a social work position at a supplemental needs trust for people with disabilities. So I do a lot of different things, but basically we focus on improving quality of life in 1,000,005 different ways. But I mean, it's funny you say, who am I outside of sports? I think that majority of my family would say that I'm not who I am without sports. Whether I'm playing it or watching it, I probably spend way more time than is necessary on sports, but I love it.
That's the case with a lot of people, so that's a fair statement,
right? I guess I could say I was also super musically inclined when I was younger. I've played several different instruments, but I gave them all up for sports. So not so much anymore.
All right, throw out some instruments. What did you play?
I played guitar, I played piano, I played violin. My mom never let me play drums because she said they were too loud. But then my brother was bad in school and he really wanted to play drums. And she said, if you pass, then you can play drums. And my brother got to play drums, but I don't feel a way about that, guys. It's fine. So I didn't get to do that. But I picked up a lot of instruments by ear. I picked up a little bit of clarinet. It was fun for me. My dad's really upset that I let it go, but wrestling was more important at the time and just haven't gone back to it.
Yeah, that's like I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old, and I more or less just consider myself a hobby guitar player all these years later, and I keep one out here in my front room, but I hardly ever, it's been months since I've even pulled it out of the case, but I can't imagine just never doing it again. Doesn't sound like you've touched any instrument in quite a while.
I haven't really. I mean, when I go back and visit my grandma, sometimes, we go visit her at her assisted living home and we play with the guitar. But I haven't really in a while, and that's probably because I never really stopped playing sports. That's really why.
No, fair enough. You love what you love, or we all, you
Yeah.
gotta follow your heart. So let's go ahead and talk about the double play with Seth's permission.
Oh, well, hey, that's how you would construct a paper, NealDawg. Introduction, now body, and then at the end, conclusion, and wrap it up. But there you go.
So
You are free.
I spent the majority of my beep baseball career playing up in the front area, where I think most people would get a higher percentage of a chance at a double play like what you made. Not necessarily, maybe, but I guess I've always thought that. I literally have, like, I can remember one play way back when Eric Mazriegos was a rookie in 1989, and we were just out of practice, and actually I was playing shortstop and Eric was playing out in center field, and I was running to my right and I was still up on my feet, and a ball hopped right up like into my gut area. I just was able to wrap my arms around it. It wasn't anything I intended to do. It was a fast shot, and it just bounced in the right place at the right time. I was able to hang on to it. But I knew that ball was a one hopper. All the years playing out at the World Series, I remember times I would field the ball and the spotter would mention that, it landed on me or I got it after one hop. But for the most part, I never really had an idea that the ball had only taken one hop. Did you know when you fielded the ball last week that it was a one hopper?
No. In fact, Kenny, our catcher, was saying just the other day that it was like a light bulb went off at some point. I caught the ball. It all happened so fast. It was I think it was on the third strike. Daryl Miner was batting. He hit the ball. Holly, my spotter at the time, called the 3, which was like, I mean, the best call she could make at that moment. And I just heard it coming, and it smacked me right in my upper left thigh, and I just reflexively, I don't know, reached for it and grabbed it. And I didn't say anything. I didn't even, like, there was no thought in my brain. I didn't even say ball, anything. And then everybody started screaming, and I'm like, okay, like, it's an out. Why are they that shocked that I got an out? Right? Like,
Actually,
damn.
Finally fielded.
Exactly, right? I was like, damn. And so, but then Jono got really excited, and I don't know if y'all have seen the video, but Jono and Molly started screaming, and Jono starts running out. He's like, double play, and I still was like, okay. I don't know what that means. And then I don't know what happened. Just somewhere in that moment, it kind of just clicked. And then before I knew it, Jono was out there hugging me, and all the spotters and everybody's screaming. And then the fielders were like, what the hell just happened? They had the same thought as me, like, why are they screaming for an out? And so it all just happened so fast. They even had to tell them what happened. So I had no idea, but I did not know it was a one hop. I just knew that it was coming, and it hit me, and I better hold on to the ball.
Anybody
did that in the inning, or was that
okay?
Where was that in the inning?
Yeah, so we were actually talking about that, because it was the first and second out, and I was like, man, I would have been so mad if that was on like out 3.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because it's just like the catching a ball. It retires the side if there's 2 outs or less.
Right.
Well, I guess if there's 1 out, it retires the side no matter what.
Yeah.
But I was going to mention that anybody that checks out the show on the YouTube channel, Frank Porter's going to add that video at the beginning. So,
oh, nice.
If you're in the future watching us on YouTube right now, you've already seen the video.
And the cool part about that too was, like, my team, everybody is so authentic, right? And like Jono and Molly both went crazy, and it was genuine, It was like, yeah, we were all so excited.
I was listening to the stream when it happened, and at the rankings committee meeting the other night, I told John and Molly that the way the team responded and celebrated that moment with you was very classy. I thought it was a great reaction.
Really cool. It was really cool, and I mean, I'm blessed. I play for a good team, good coaches, good people. I had a great spotter called the good call, and You know, I've had a lot of friends that have helped along the way. Obviously, the Blackhawks have taught me a lot since I came into the league. But Darius Sterling and Drew Burnett have also spent a lot of time with me outside practicing defense, and you know, it just was the right thing at the right time.
Well, yeah, it doesn't surprise you that it was Daryl Miner, though. You know, he's such a, I mean, he is an uppercut hitter. You know what I mean? He sends
Pop
balls
it up in the air.
I have a bruise to show for that. Yeah,
I can imagine.
You know what's funny? I had literally just met Daryl Miner on Friday. I had never met him before, and we had just met then, and so it was really funny later to be like, "Hey, I gotcha."
Apparently, a lot of people met Daryl for the first time last weekend.
Yeah, right.
According to
funny. Yeah, that's funny. You know, Daryl, you're a playboy, man. I didn't say
that. I'll cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah, cut that out.
Beep. You know, I had 2 questions for you. One, were you playing in right or left field?
Oh hell, you put me on the spot. I was playing right field. I was playing right field.
You don't know?
No, I always get confused. I'm like, is it from the perspective of the batter or the fielder? I was playing right field, and the reason why I know that is because we changed our count, our whatever you call it. What is it called? The count off or whatever. And we say right. So yeah, I play right field.
You know, it's funny. Remember Rose for the spotter for the Jets last week? She was
did the same
saying
thing,
the same thing. She's like, I don't remember if you call it from out in the field or from home plate.
Yeah.
Were you like where in right field? Short, middle, deep?
Short, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And were you on your feet or were you laying down on the ground when the ball?
No, I did not have time to get down. If I had gotten down, I would have missed the ball. I was still in my defensive stance, and I literally had just moved like barely, and it just was there. If I had moved any left or any right, I would have missed it.
Well, congratulations. It's the first one in our history, and the cool thing about being here with the 2 of you, I don't know that you know this, Ashley, but the first year the home run rule was in play was 1990. And Seth here was the first person to ever hit a home run with the ball at 180 feet.
That's cool.
Yes.
The second one never came till 1993.
Hey, but you know what they say? My team told me this. Steve Prayer, we were at dinner after the game, or lunch, I guess, and he said, "Hey, Ashley, you know that everybody's gonna remember the first one, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You know, nobody's gonna remember the second." It's
no,
like,
that's
okay,
absolutely
great.
Right. That's absolutely right. I mean, you know what I mean? It'll just kind of like the first home run and the second, whatever. It just over time just becomes part of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Nobody even remembers that I hit the first home run though. Nobody can tell you that.
I remind them as often as I can.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You know, nobody cares. Nobody cares. But
in general, though, I feel like that's a problem with all of our history. That's why when I know some of our history, I don't mean here on the show, but sometimes when there's a conversation going, like in Beepball Nation, if I come across it and whatever, if there's the like part of history that ties into the conversation I could share, I share it, because there's not a lot of us around that could share our history, you know, like going back before me, like you know, my memory of the history goes back to the mid 80s, but we've got 10 years of beepball before that isn't getting shared a lot because those people are you know, just not around as much, or maybe not here with us anymore. So like, I don't know, I've thought about it a lot recently, that we should find a way to start compiling this stuff rather than depending on people's memories. You know, I know Kevin Barrett has worked on that kind of stuff a lot, but like as an organization, we should really like push for it.
Neil, big announcement. I'm going to write a history book about beepball. No, just
I don't think we all have enough future to wait for your history writing.
hey. Just so we know, 2 of us started books in the last several years. One of us finished.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so you can be quiet, man. Okay.
Well, I'll never be quiet, but
I have hundreds and hundreds of pages of my writing on my out there in my computer. So,
point
but I'm
taken.
Thank
Hey,
you.
so Ashley, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. I'll circle back because there's been talk, not just of you being the first player to make the double play, but to be a woman making the first double play. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I mostly have, well, I would say I have conflicting thoughts on that, and there's a couple reasons for that. One of them is that I just think it should be that a player made the play. I'm not into the whole, it was a female, oh my God, like I want people to recognize that females can play this game too. We can certainly field, there's a lot of discussion about whether we should adapt the game for females, at least on the offensive side and all of that. But leaving that alone, defensively, we can play just as well as the men can. And so although I do think it's cool, it is a part of history, it is cool. And I think that hopefully, it does make people think twice about, allowing more females to play, certainly in the field. I hope everywhere, but certainly in the field. But ultimately, I just want it to be that it was a good play, it was made by a player, and that's what it is.
But I do think publicizing the fact that you are a woman demonstrates that it proves the point that you're
exactly, yeah. And that's why I'm not hating on it completely, in that like I don't think it's important, because I think it can be important in that way. Right. But I also don't want it to just like be completely focused on the fact that I am a woman.
Right. You don't want it to be asterisked, like
exactly.
She was a woman, she hit it, but we're really waiting for the first man to get the double play or whatever.
Yeah,
I totally get that, but
and I'm lucky. I play for a team that values women players, right? The Blackhawks have always been known that we play our women. If you're good enough, if you earn your spot, you're going to play your spot. And so my hope is that the Blackhawks are showing people that, Jamie regularly plays up front. I got to play up front this weekend. We have Faith, she gets thrown in, Sarai, my sister, we have a lot of females, Pam, on our team. And so I'm just hoping that, we are going to be able to play more and show people that certainly in the field. I mean, I always say I'm a half a player. Daniel Brock has been my other half, and so he's been my DH and I DF for him, and so. But it works for us,
Oh, like you and I, NealDawg.
Yeah, I was gonna say Seth and I could have we were a union before we even realized it.
Yeah. By the way. Shout out to Daniel Brock. He got his first put out of his beepball career in Bolingbrook. So
nice.
Heck yeah, Brock.
Very nice. I like Daniel. He's good peeps. Just I guess my own thoughts on everything you said. I know I'm with everything that you shared and said. It's not a problem in beepball though. That's like a problem in our world. Like and I
for sure
I feel ugly because I'm a white male. But I mean,
you're not ugly because he's a white male. Man. He's ugly because he's ugly. Bro. Come on, bro.
Again, point taken. But I learned this. I didn't finish college, but psychology is what I studied, and I learned in psychology, like the white male is considered invisible. And I didn't get that at first. Like, how could the person that has the most power be considered invisible? But it's because they go unchallenged. Nobody ever describes anything as the white male this, the white male that. But it always gets separated, like a woman doctor, a black doctor. You know what I mean? People, I went to see a doctor, then you just know it's a white male, probably. Maybe the world's not as bad about it. But if somebody just says, I went to see the doctor, you're just mad. They're just saying I have a white male, typical doctor. If their doctor is black or a woman or a Mexican woman or what, you know what I mean? They're going to add that stuff into it. And so, I mean, you're dealing with a world separation, and it trickles down into our beep baseball world. I still, listening to the streams, get irritated when I hear benches talking about, there's a girl up at the plate. Like
yeah, like, oh, you
separate.
should step up, like move up 2 steps. I'm like, boy, I will hit the ball past you. Step up, please step up.
Yeah.
Like,
keep coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let
with
me
the
show
stuff.
you. Right. And so, I mean, you're right though, Neil. It's not a beepball specific issue. We've talked about me playing sports a while. I had to insert myself in the wrestling world. I was going to do this. There wasn't a lot of girls wrestling. And sometimes even in goalball now, we don't necessarily always have enough girls. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care if you're going to throw a big bounce ball at me, I'm going to block it, and so I play a lot now with the guys in practice. But I think that I'm stubborn. I don't like to be told no. And so I'm going to insert myself and make sure that that I can play. And if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'm going to do. So it is, it's not a beepball specific issue, but because it's highlighted right now, because the play was made, I just hope that people think twice about letting us participate more.
Yeah, no, I dig all that. Like Seth made a good point. Like, with it getting publicized, that puts that word out there. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? You don't want to give you separate credit because you earned it as a player, but at the same time publicizing that you're a woman and you made that play in a sport that's dominated by males. I mean, that also puts a good, strong message out there. So
I mean, we haven't gotten to that point where it doesn't matter, right? It does matter. So, you need to make it not matter. You need more women out there playing and to normalize it.
You're right, aka these sirens.
Yeah.
Well, they played their first game today. Why don't you could you share? Because I know you've been part of the women of our league. You've mentioned that you and I agree with you. I believe the Austin Blackhawks have as many women on their players as any team out there, just about. Maybe the Outlaws, the BCS Outlaws have more, but I'm not sure of that. And you've got something we talked about on this show, I think just last week, one of our 2 full-time women pitchers, which is very rare in the sport of beep baseball. Do you have any thoughts on the Sirens and that project, and the first all-women's team that will be playing at the World Series this year?
Yeah, I'm excited for them. I think it's really cool that they are like, I don't care if we're going to play all male teams, we're going to play. And from what I saw today, those ladies don't back down. They're up for the challenge and they're going to get it done. And I think that's really exciting. What I think is cool too is watching the progression of them coming in, because obviously the Sirens and the Lookouts are both newer teams, right? And so they both have growing pains in the same way, regardless of if they're men or women or, whoever, they have a mix of both. And so it's really cool to see them work through that, figure that out. I saw some good putouts today out there, and Molly working her butt off out there. So it was good to see all that. And I'm excited to see what comes of that.
Yeah, how did the game go? Actually, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
How did the game go today? Shocking as a casual fan. I did actually. I logged onto Facebook. I saw that they were talking about it, but I didn't see a stream. I would have clicked on. I'm a big girl power person.
So it was the Sirens and the Oklahoma Lookouts. They got together and played 2 games. Both teams are brand new teams.
Right.
The Lookouts won both games. They won the first one, I believe, 10-1, and the second one 13-1. Clara, who's I believe the youngest player on the Sirens, a new player. I think she's only 16. Do you know if I'm right or wrong about that, Ashley?
I think I heard something like that on the stream, 16 or 17. I don't know exactly.
But she made some nice plays out on defense. The Sirens defense in general, I thought played well, especially in the first game. But she scored their first run. So Molly Fleming, the pitcher for the Blackhawks, was out there pitching for the Sirens. Mari Blumenthal, who is their normal pitcher, had a previous engagement for this weekend, and they weren't going to have her. So Molly Fleming and Jono Fleming, Jono's the coach of the Blackhawks, they traveled out there and helped the Sirens out, and Molly pitched to the Sirens, and it just didn't seem, I think last night's the only practice they got in, and not all the Sirens were there. They just didn't have the timing. That's
what it was. Yeah.
It
was because Mari's cadence is definitely different than Molly's. Molly was putting the ball there. It's just a matter of, a lot of them are newer players anyways, and so changing the pitcher is difficult in that short amount of time. But there was a lot of contact. There were a lot of
lots
battles
of foul balls. And that's how you knew it was more a timing problem.
Exactly.
There's just tons of foul balls. And Seth, I mean, you and I were experienced players when we were playing like in the late 90s, early 2000s with Brian Doris and Greg Parr as our pitchers, and they had very different cadences. And just going back between them when we were practicing off both of them was difficult for all of us to, you know what I mean? Some of us had the timing of one better than the other.
Yeah.
But switching back and forth is between two pitchers with different cadences is not easy. And then you throw in that the Sirens team just doesn't have a lot of experience. They have Kim Blumenthal and Whitney Morin is playing with. I don't know if you remember, Whitney was on the show with us when we had Fabiano on a couple years ago, talking about the 7-player rule, if you remember that.
Oh, I do. Actually, I do.
Yeah, so that was Whitney Marin that was on the show with us that time. So she left the Roadrunners. Well, I don't think the Roadrunners have a team this year, but she's playing with the Sirens. But I don't think they have any experience outside of her and Kim Blumenthal. So, having new players playing in their first game with now a pitcher that's different than the one they've been practicing with just didn't work out well for them.
That's tough. I mean, my first few years in the league, Tim Hibner was our pitcher. And we saw Tim, every now and then, but we consistently batted off Molly. And me being such a new player, it was hard for me. And I literally would go up and I'm like, I would go up to bat and I would ask one of my teammates as I was walking up, like, when do I swing with Tim? Because it's different than Molly's, right? And I'm just so used to Molly. And so that was challenging for me. And I can't imagine, I did have some experience then, and some of these players, it's their first game or their second game. They don't have that. And so it is different, but I actually think that they looked really good, and I'm excited to see what comes of that.
I just think the whole program is cool. I've been talking back and forth with Cassandra McDaniel a bit about the team, because she and her sister Kim Blumenthal are the leaders. And Cassandra has asked me about, like, back when I started playing, as like a young player, going to my first tournament, like what kind of stuff I needed. And like really what it came down to is the opportunity. And I've thought about it, when we talk about men and women, this being a co-ed sport, like I've thought about it more, I guess, like once the women of our league got started, and just given it like more true thought, I guess, at this point in my life. Like if I was a woman player, a female player back in 1986, 87, when I found the sport, I don't know that I would have been given the same opportunity that I ended up with, was able.
You don't know?
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
fair enough. I know. You're right.
It is true. You've got to wait your time. I mean, Molly's been, a backup pitcher for like 6 or 7 years, and like it is her time, and she is fully ready for it and excited about it, and we're excited for her. But that's kind of, it's kind of, when you think about it simply, for people, you can compare it to, like, you have to do your years on JV before you can go to varsity for most people, right? And the reality for us women players is sometimes it takes us even longer than it would take that transition to go from JV to varsity. And I think that just recently I've really gotten the opportunity to play more, and that playing time, being in a live game, doing those things, it's different than what we simulate in practice. And I think that that's why my game has gotten a whole lot better this year and in the past little bit, is just because I've had that opportunity to do that.
But that, like, I guess just that opportunity for me that the Sirens are giving the young players, you know, that's what means the most to me, because they're being given the chance. A whole bunch of players that haven't played before getting the chance that we've all had to play this game. That's what I love the most about it.
That's exciting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What were you gonna say, funny man?
I laughed. I said, oh no. I was just messing around. We're in an hour in, you know, I start to get a little bit, you know,
a little loopy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
No, fair enough. I haven't been watching the time, so I don't really have a lot else anyways. I did want to mention that I mean, we covered the Bolingbrook tournament last week, and there was also a round robin played out in Texas, or that was scheduled to be played, that we didn't have any information on, so I didn't mention it last week. But it was the Tyler Tigers, the BCS Outlaws, Houston Hurricanes, and the Oklahoma Lookouts. They were all going to play 3 games, so basically a round robin, but they got rained out partway through the second game. So all we had was in the one game, the Tyler Tigers beat the Outlaws 17-15 is the score I have, and the Houston Hurricanes defeated the Oklahoma Lookouts. It's so hard for me. I don't know why I always want to call them the Outlooks instead of the Lookouts. But Houston beat Oklahoma 15-14. And news came out of that Hillary House Oswald from the BCS Outlaws and her husband are now expecting child. And selfishly, Hillary's not going to play beep baseball this year.
Oh my gosh, Crystal,
Ashley.
Pam, all of them. Crystal, Pam, Hillary, all of them. Well, Pam just had her baby. My sister's having her baby next month, and I'm not sure when Hillary is due, but congratulations to all of them. Thanks for giving up your spot, guys, so I can play.
You know, I don't think I had ever heard that Crystal was pregnant.
Oh, breaking news.
Yeah, well, just
Sorry,
because I
Crystal.
didn't hear it, it doesn't mean it hasn't been heard.
Yeah, Crystal's not playing this year. She's due on the 26th of July next month, so we're excited. She's going to have a little boy.
Sweet, good for her, good for your family. And congratulations to Pam and Brandon Chesser. Do you know if they had a boy or a girl?
They did have a boy. I don't know his name, but they did have a boy.
You know, we had Brandon on the show a few months back, and we talked about that, but we're sitting here talking about pregnancies, and I had forgotten all about Pam having their, 7th child? Is that right?
I think so. We basically said because Pam and Crystal were like a month apart, and the rest of us girls were like, we're not drinking the Blackhawk water. I don't know what it is, but it's not me. So yeah, it's exciting. It's Blackhawk family is growing for sure. And so congratulations to Hillary too.
In case it wasn't detected, my saying that Hillary's being selfish by not playing was sarcasm. Total sarcasm.
I told Crystal that too. I said, how dare you leave me here without you? Because even Jamie this year, she's only going to the series. She's not going to our tournaments with us. And so I'm like, so you and Jamie are abandoning me? What the hell? But anyway,
I didn't know that Jamie and them had moved back to New Mexico.
Breaking news again.
I remember when Wayne and Jamie first got together like 30 years ago that Jamie had moved to Texas from New Mexico. So I knew
she's from New Mexico.
That area or whatever.
She's living a few hours from her parents, and she's the director at the rehab center there. So she's doing good things. I'm totally just talking smack. She's doing good things.
Awesome. Well, good for Jamie. Cool. Good for them. Well, I have nothing else. Do you have anything else for our kids?
You know, there was a change in the offensive MVP for the Bolingbrook tournament. I don't know if you saw that last week. You know, you're up on the stats. You know, a Heat one, right? Mark Morris one. So I'm going to give
He's actually an archer. He was just on loan.
but he was
loan to the Heat. But
another feather in the cap of the great Fonzie.
They originally had Adam Rodenbach down for 10 for 11, and I guess there was a mistake made. He was 9 for 11, if I understood it right. So that moved Mark Morris ahead.
Yes. And you know, Liz talking about timing, it was funny. I was listening to Fonzie pitch the other day. It's like, dude, I could still hit that dude. His timing is so easy to get, man. Oh man, I was like, man, I gotta go out there and hit that guy right now.
I've never gotten to bat off Fonzie, and I feel a way about that, Fonzie. I'm just saying.
Call out.
Just saying. I feel a way about
that. Hey, don't worry. Go Saturday night, track Fonzie down.
I've been at 2 of them, and he has not pitched to me. So, you know.
Wow.
Bring him a beer. You know.
A tequila shot. That's
I was gonna say,
even
I knew to jump in with tequila. That's fun. I won't send that dude a text today. I won't get on him about that.
You tell him, Neil. You tell him. Crystal's sister said.
Right.
I'm not gonna call you Crystal's sister.
Hey, I'm gonna just give you your props. You didn't say Crystal's sister, and you only called me Crystal once, except it wasn't on air.
And I only said Chris. I didn't say the whole
that
thing.
Counts, Neil. That counts.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I got nothing else. I think we've gone on long enough. Ashley, I appreciate you jumping in and giving us your time. I enjoyed getting to know you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. And for everyone out there, don't sleep on the Hawks. We're going to whoop it up.
Whoop it up, Blackhawks, just like that. Ooh.
All righty. Well, that is it for this one. I believe I should have looked at this.
I just got to say, Neil, that's good structure right there. That's good structure. You know, you go introduction, body, conclusion, man. That's good structure, man. All programs need good structure, man, and paper, stuff like that. So
let me guess. You're going to give me an 89. No, isn't that your number, Professor?
83.
83. Oh, 89 is like the top anybody's going to get.
89. No. Yeah. I found I gave a lot. I gave out a lot of 98s this semester, which I generally don't give, but still my averages come out to 83. I was trained to come up with 83 averages. And again, you can give me 100 papers right now and on any topic, and I will grade all 100 of them. And at the end,
it'll be an average of 83.
It'll be an
Fair
average
enough.
of 83.
What kind of student?
That's a professional, man. That's a professional.
What kind of student were you, Red Raider?
Well, I did enough.
You got by?
Let me put it to you this way. Crystal is definitely the smart one. She's very book smart. It came naturally to her. Me, I'm like, I never want to see another math problem again in my life, which is why I went into social work. And now I ironically work for a trust where I see numbers all the time. But I use a calculator, so I did enough. I did enough to play sports. That's it.
C equals BA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny, dude. I was just you and I haven't talked about that in like 20 years. And I was just going to bring up, Ashley, that Seth's sister is a doctor. And her key phrase coming out of college or after she became a doctor is C equals MD. C equals
exactly.
MD.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah. No, I wasn't. I mean, I probably got like B's and some A's, but it was a struggle for me. I didn't like school for sure.
I was no student. If I could got C's, I would have finished college. I'm kidding. I could get C's, but I was not a motivated student. And that did not help me. So we'll end on that note. I should have
for my PhD. I had like a 3.8, 3.9.
Really?
But
he's not bragging or anything.
You know, but
I would brag about that. I would introduce myself on the show every week with that. Forget my 2000 offense MVP. This is NealDawg, GPA
3.8.
Oh yeah, I would love that. I had no idea. I've never talked to you about that. That's impressive.
No, I got good. As a younger student, I got horrible grades, but once it became more important, I started to get good grades. I'll start getting that.
I will say that when I went back to college with a goal in mind, you know,
Right,
when I went
exactly.
there the first time, I didn't want to be there, but I had nowhere
Right.
else to go.
Right,
So
exactly.
junior college, here I come. 13th grade, it was waiting for me. But when I went back and had like a goal in mind, I wasn't great in just whatever math and English, history, like stuff I was that the whatever requirement
Right.
stuff, but the psychology stuff I really
That
excelled
changes
in.
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're
Right.
motivated.
Yeah.
And that's, so for my PhD, all I did was history classes. You know what I'm saying? There's
Oh,
Right.
there's
I
no
would hate my
other.
life.
Oh no,
Oh no.
history is the most fun thing, except writing the 20-page papers and stuff like that. But yeah, so if I had math and stuff like that, no way. No 3.8, no 3.9 for me at all. So but there we go. We're good. We have gone.
I should have looked at the schedule rather than guessing, but I believe the Beast of the East, the first round of that starts next weekend.
Dude, when do we get to have Beepball Jeopardy? I've already written
after the season. I've said
I've already
time.
written out all the clues.
All right.
This is Beepball Jeopardy.
The only other thing you have to do then is buy a prize from Dot Shop, and we'll be ready to go.
Okay, all right.
We'll be ready to go. They're hung you up for a little while. They'll shut you up. Anyways, whether it's the Beast of the East or not, we'll be back doing something beepball wise next week, because it is Beep Baseball time, people. Thank you to Ashley for joining us. Thank you, Seth Dog. Thank you, Frank Porter, for all of your great edits on the YouTube channel. Thank you to Mr. Chris Jackson for helping out. And we will see everybody next week. Be well until then.